technically, a half means 2 equal parts. Some of you may have heard me tell a story about learning math here. Geometry was my strong suit. 2 equal halves. In music, a half note is equal to the other half note in the bar of music. That's literally all I know about music. So I want you to keep that in mind while I tell you the story of the time I was living in New York City and dating a great guy who was splitting time between my apartment in Brooklyn and his parents' house in the suburbs. And his parents went away. And that meant we could play house in like this cool, like, we call them chocolate houses, but they're Tudor, but they look like they could be chocolate. And I took Metro North up to his parents' house after work on Friday, and we had use of their car, and we went to the grocery store, and I collapsed in the produce aisle and said, I can't live in New York City anymore. Because the bodegas were not cutting it. I don't even cook, but like the abundance of a real grocery store like just overtook me, and I was like, I have to leave New York City. And he's like, well, I'm trying to like get to New York City. So like, I don't know how this is gonna work. How it worked was he took over my lease in Brooklyn and I moved to College Park, Maryland. Because I was convinced the bodegas of New York City could not sustain my life. I was wrong. I can admit that now. So we were long distance. I was 23 years old. I was very wrong. So we decided we needed some quality time together to figure this all out. We were gonna meet at BWI, and we were gonna fly to Arizona for the week because we were young and had disposable income and could do things like that. And it was an uneventful flight. We flew into Phoenix. We drove up to Sedona. Perfect, except his bag didn't make it. And when you're in Arizona with your girlfriend and you don't have your suitcase, there are some problems. And so we made a plan. We went to an outlet store and bought a pair of like a 6-pack of boxers. And we spent the rest of the week living out of my suitcase. And what you need to know about my lovely boyfriend is I am 5'3.5" and he claims to be 5'4". We are equals. So every morning we would wake up in this sort of like hotel, because that was all we could afford, and we would take a very low pressure shower and have a very high stakes negotiation about who would get to wear the jeans today and who would get to wear the sweatpants. And maybe someone would get the blue windbreaker today and the other person would get the blue windbreaker tomorrow. And I had this shirt that I liked to wear. It was a black t-shirt. It was the 90s. It had embroidery of a moon with some stars and a cat. Some of you may have that tattoo on your body. I don't know. And one day he got the t-shirt, right? He got the t-shirt. And we drove up to the Grand Canyon to hang out with some of my college friends, and it was the first time he was meeting them, and it was, a little stressful for him, but whatever. And all day, my friend was staring at him. Like, it got to the point where it was, like, uncomfortable for everybody. And at the end of the day, I was like, dude, why are you staring at my boyfriend? And he was like, oh, his shirt looks so familiar to me. And I'm like, yeah, I wore it every day in college, thanks, you're good. So on the last day of our vacation, my boyfriend's suitcase showed up. He got to wear his own clothes to our very fancy dinner. And I gotta tell you, 25 years later, I think our marriage owes a lot to learning to compromise and live out of one suitcase together.